Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today we're going to have a look at the entries in the recently completed group build that took place on my Discord server. The topic of the group build was Downfall 1945. Due to being a bit of a ding-a-ling, I don't have the actual description for this build on hand, but effectively, the subject was models representing the final months of World War II and the downfall of the Third Reich. The name does kind of make sense, doesn't it? A new group build will begin soon, and I'll talk about that briefly at the end of the video. We don't need any excess Herbert waffling, so let's get right to the entries. TrackTribe entered this Sd.Kfz 234/2. The model is in 35th scale, and it's an AK reboxing of a Dragon kit. TrackTribe says it was a nice kit and built up without any issues. Modifications included improved casting texture on the gun mantlet, replacement of the star antenna with one from the spares box, adding an antenna on the turret, and some hooks with rope for attaching camouflage material. It's depicted as part of an armoured reconnaissance battalion of the 7th Panzer Division in eastern Pomerania in March 1945. TrackTribe says the base was a real challenge to themselves, started on Wednesday and finished 2 days later. The original plan was to place the vehicle in a dense, snowy forest, with 1 or 2 crew figures and at least 1 soldier on the ground discussing the tactical situation. But, as it often does, time forced TrackTribe to choose something a bit more easy and quick to build with a late winter landscape, where snow melts during the daytime and freezes again in the night, with muddy roads challenging vehicles. I must say, this is a really nice and very convincingly done model, and the base is rather good too, especially considering it took 2 days. Awesome. Eru's entry is a Messerschmitt Me-262. The model is a Revell kit in 72nd scale, and it's been painted to represent an aircraft belonging to Jagdgeschwader 7, which I've probably said incorrectly, but I understand that to be the first jet-equipped fighter squadron in the world. This is the first model plane that Eru has finished, and they do note that it has the appropriate flaws for being the first one, and they didn't quite get the camo scheme just right. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what the camo scheme should be, and sure, there might be flaws and such, but anybody that says their modelling can't be improved is lying, whether they know it or not. What matters is you have fun, and learn and improve at your own pace. Keep it up. Fessor 2000's entry is an interesting one. It's the Feisler, I obviously don't know if I'm saying that right, Fi-103A1 RE4 Reichenberg. It's a German version of the Japanese kamikaze. The Reichenberg never entered active service. The handling characteristics weren't good, especially at low speed, and the whole idea of doing suicide attacks was found to be a bit distasteful by the German High Command. The project was cancelled in early 1945. This model is a 48th scale kit from MPM, and I think it's been painted really well. The pilot figure doesn't look to be especially happy from what I can see of him, but it's definitely something that fits with the topic Downfall quite well. Here's a non-German entry. Monol's submission is a Sherman, in particular an M4A3E8 Easy 8 belonging to the 4th Armoured Division in Bastogne, January 1945. Monol said, "I could have worked on a German tank, which is usually my favourite subject for World War II, but why not build something for the Americans for once?" And I agree, why not? Also, this was the only non-German entry. I guess given the theme of the group build, a lot of German entries would make sense. Monol went for a weathered look, saying it suits Shermans quite well, and I do agree. He isn't totally sure how historically accurate the stowage is, but I do have to say that it looks really good and convincing. There really is something about how good boxes and barrels and other stowage looks on a Sherman. Somehow it just feels right. The model is a 48th scale kit from Tamiya. Panzer IV's entry is, well, it's not a Panzer IV, it is, as you can probably tell, an Sd.Kfz 251 Ausführung C. This is a Tamiya kit in 35th scale. It was modified with a headlight from a Dragon Tiger 1 and some bushes from the Garden, patent pending. Panzer IV says they originally intended an ambush camo for this vehicle, but only did the green and yellow. Hans forgot the brown paint. Ah yes, classic Hans. Despite Hans's forgetfulness, I think it looks rather good. The bushes are, well, obviously fairly realistic, and the mud is also quite convincing. You did say that you often overdo weathering, and I can relate, that can be kind of hard not to do, but I think you've put pretty much the right amount of mud on it, and it looks really good. Sir Themo's entry is this Messerschmitt ME262. This is another 72nd scale Revell kit. The model is based on the 9K plus YH from Stab 1 of Kampfgeschwader 51, and I'm obviously not an expert on either pronouncing or knowing anything about German units, but I understand Stab to be short for Stabstaffel or something, which I believe is squadron, but I do of course find it more entertaining to think of Stab in the English way. Anyway, Sir Themo loved the way the plane looked with the more traditional splinter camo on the wings and the heavy scribble scheme on the fuselage, so they went with that and are happy with how it turned out. I've always thought that angular camo pattern was pretty interesting, and that is yet another very nice model. It's also the last of our entries for this group build. I hope everybody had fun with their builds. It's been great watching them all come together over the however long this group build was, even those that didn't quite get their models finished in time. If I was taking part, I would probably be one of those. I would like to say a big thank you to our group buildsman, Monol, who takes care of the group builds, and is the main reason this video is done so quickly after the group build ended. I appreciate you and the things you do. For those who are interested, a new group build will begin soon. I'm not aware of an actual start date yet, and the voting for the next topic is currently taking place, and will be until the 8th of February, which means by the time this video is actually up, there's not going to be a whole lot of time left to vote, but you do still have time to get in at the start of the build. If you want to take part, you'll need to be a member on my Discord server, and you can find a link to that in the description. You should be able to find all of the rules and relevant information there, but if you have any questions, it would also be the place to ask those, not in the comments here. So, that's it. I look forward to seeing the next lot of group build entries, and watching them progress. It's always a pleasure. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of thing, and if you want to see my videos a bit early, before there's any ads, consider becoming a patron. You can find links to Patreon, and all of my other things like Discord and social media, in the description below. Take care of yourselves, be excellent to each other, and thanks for watching. Farewell.